Alright y'all, welcome to another product review on the Texas Special YouTube channel. And this here is going to be a little bit of a blast from the past, as they say. This is a K-Line Burlington Northern fast freight train set. Now it is mostly everything is there. A couple of the LCL containers for the Santa Fe gondola are missing, but one of the doors on the C&W stock car, which you're going to see here momentarily, is missing as well. Other than that, everything is there. All the track, all the accessories, everything. So there's the whole train. We will start this off obviously at the business end of the set, looking at the locomotive. Now, if you've been in the hobby for longer than say 15 minutes, you're familiar with K-Line. You know about K-Line. You know, they were acquired by Lionel, I want to say 2005 or 2006. So sadly, K-Line as an independent manufacturer is no longer with us. However, lots and lots of their sets and locomotives and freight cars continue to live on and continue the legacy of K-Line. I had quite a few K-Line sets myself growing up, so they were never quite as big or prominent on the scene as Lionel, but they did make some fun trains, and I had a lot of great childhood memories with K-Line train sets. Here on the business end of the set, you'll see this MP15 DC locomotive. Now, this is not a scale MP15 DC locomotive. While K-Line did make scale O-scale trains, 1/48 scale proportion trains, the bread and butter for K-Line was this type of stuff, the undersized traditional toy train type trains. And when I say undersized, y'all, I do mean undersized, especially with regards to the freight cars, but we'll get to that momentarily. You can see here, at some point, these hand railings on this side of the locomotive came off, and some super glue was used to put them back on. Not a big thing. You have very, very nicely executed paint job and paint separation between the black, the white, and the green. That BN logo looks first rate. Nice, crisp, clear, even paint application all the way throughout the locomotive. And you have this fuel tank with you know, piping detail right here on the locomotive. There actually is no fuel tank under the locomotive. I can put my pencil right back behind this little detail plate. The locomotive features two motors, one for each truck, situated right here in between, and they're fairly free rolling. They're what I like to call loose motors. I'm sure that's not the proper terminology, but that's what I call them. Each end of the locomotive has plastic operating magnetic knuckle couplers. So they are the thumbtack type knuckle couplers with a little metal disc right here for use with a magnetic uncoupling track section, or there is a little tab on the side of the coupler that you can manually uncouple with. The hand railings, they are oversized. They're not quite as in-your-face oversized, at least not on the sides anyway, as you know, your Lionel type hand railings, but they are definitely not scale proportion. Now, on the front and rear of the locomotive, you'll see the familiar oversized, in-your-face, you know, gridiron type grab irons that are made out of stamped sheet metal. As with all O27 type diesels, the pilot and the coupler are one. They're connected to the truck, so this will allow the engine to navigate curvature as tight as O27. For you non-O gauge types that happen to be tuning in, that equates to 27 inches diameter, not radius. You have a cool little sand filling nozzle detail here. All of these doors are cast onto the locomotive. You have the correct dual exhaust stacks, and you have a cast-on grill detail over the top of the locomotive, as well as a cast-on grill, detailing on the front end of the locomotive, which you'll see here momentarily. This engine features a very, very basic sound system, and when I say very basic, I mean a horn. That's it, just a horn. So that's the only sound features on this engine. It has operating headlights on both ends, and you have some fairly decent detailing on the locomotive trucks. Given what this is, a cheaper low-end locomotive, fairly good detailing on the trucks. Okay, so here is the front end of the locomotive as promised. You can see those oversized stamped sheet metal hand railings there. You got pretty much no detailing on the front of the pilot of the locomotive. You've got like a brakeman's perch right here, and as I said earlier, the coupler and the pilot are one piece. They are linked together, allowing this engine to operate curvature as tight as 027. You've got the number boards here. You've got cast-on detailing on either side of the number boards towards the outer edges for what would have been classification lights on the real thing, and the dual headlights right here, as well as glass on the cabs. The cab features interior illumination as well. Here we are on the rear of the locomotive. Again, you have the headlights, number boards here on the sides, which neither of the number boards on this locomotive, either the front or the rear, actually have numbers, unfortunately. You've got glazing on the cab window. You have a cast-on cab door, the stamped sheet metal hand railing there on the end, the magnetic thumbtack style operating knuckle coupler, which apparently the spring is weak on this end. Again, very minimal, if any, detailing there on the rear pilot with that little brakeman's perch. The rear pilot is the same as the front pilot, as it being part of the truck, so the engine can take tight curves and stay coupled up to cars. You do have the realistic battery box detail back here on the end of the cab, which is that kind of step looking area you see on MP15s, and you've got some nice paint separation here between the white, the black, and the green, as well as the safety striping right there, the little bit of safety striping. Alright y'all, this is a quick size comparison. When I said that these K-line trains were undersized, the train set type stuff was undersized, I meant it. Okay? You've seen in various past product reviews where I have shown the physical difference between scale Lionel freight cars and MTH cars and 027 train set type cars. Okay, and this is a typical Lionel 027, a traditional toy train gondola that you would find in pretty much any Lionel starter set that has a gondola. This happens to be from my 2009 New York Central Flyer set, and you can see the difference. This car is a good inch longer than the K-line Santa Fe gondola. So, and now I'm not talking bad on it. Don't get it twisted. I'm not disparaging the car. It is a nice car. It's got, you know, it's got its virtues, but it is, K-line freight cars are literally the most undersized and smallest O-gauge freight cars on the market that you can buy other than, say, old school lithograph Marx freight cars. Alright y'all, I'm off my soapbox, just had to get that out of my system. You can see these cars, all these freight cars have the same style truck. So let's go ahead and get the truck detailing out of the way. Alright, now that I'm done fighting with my camera, you can see there is roller bearings there in the center of the trucks, of the wheels. You have these, the springs are on either side of the roller bearings. You know, they're not modern 100-ton roller bearing trucks. These are like older school, like 50 or 60-ton trucks, I think. Either way, this is the type of trucks that all these cars, to include the caboose, have. So we've looked at the truck detailing, that's out of the way. The bodies on all these cars are plastic construction, and they all feature the same magnetic thumbtack type operating knuckle couplers. And the tolerances on these knuckles is rather tight. So if you're coupling up with only one open, high chance that it won't actually couple up, just butt knuckles. You can see the lettering there is actually fairly well done on this Santa Fe car. You got some capacity and weight information there on the car, and a nice Santa Fe herald there in the center. The set comes with 4 of these less than carload containers, but only 2 are in the box, so you know, 2 are missing somewhere. I will say the only other thing that stands out with this gondola that catches my eye is this handbrake detailing here on the corner. It actually is cast onto the car, but it kind of poaches out away from the car. You know, it's definitely different. Here we are getting a little bit better look at the B end of the car. You can see the dreadnought detailing here. This doesn't actually drop down, but you can tell this is modeled after an end drop type gondola. But it is a one-piece body that's all cast together, so don't try pushing on it. It's not going to go, well, you can push on it all you want to, it ain't going to drop down. And you also have the polling pockets here, these little nubs. Those are meant to model polling pockets. All right, now this little factoid is going to surprise nobody that's watched at least 5 or 6 reviews on this channel. This is my favorite car in the whole set, and you'll never figure out why. Got some gorgeous Southern Pacific lettering, the SP5142. Plastic body construction. This car was built by K-Line in January of 1993. That gondola was built May of 2000. So that tells you how prolific K-Line trains were in the market. Again, not talking crap. It is what it is. It's a sad fact. They were a distant 3rd or 4th place, depending on the year, after either K-Line, or excuse me, MTH or Williams. This door actually opens with some effort. It's kind of stuck. That's an interesting little yellow stripe. That is from the factory like that. And all of the load and weight information on the car is present and legible. Here on the underside of the SP boxcar, you actually have a surprisingly decent amount of detail given what this car is. Again, not talking trash. It is what it is. This is meant to be an honest review. If you're into high-end, super detailed command control, this ain't the review for you. Keep scrolling. If you're into beginner toy train sets, this is the review for you. Or if you just like trains in general, or you're a newbie trying to learn some stuff, alright, grab a seat. We welcome you. You have some brake linkages and rods simulated. The underframe of the car is simulated, but it's really just a blank plastic sheet. And you have a little bit of rivet detailing on along the edges of the car all the way around the underside of the car. Again, not a scale model, just a little cheap toy train type car. Coming around here to the A end of the car, you have a cast on waybill board. You have some nice dreadnought detailing here on the edges. Cast on ladder, respectable rivet detailing, and the screw that helps keep the body of the boxcar onto the frame. Here is the B end of the car. You've got the handbrake cast onto the body, a little brakeman's perch, cast on ladder, cast on brake rod detail, and another cast on waybill board. And looking here at the roof of this boxcar, you see a fairly decent amount of rivet detailing, as well as the cast on brakeman's walkway or catwalk, and some cast on grab irons there on the corners of the car. Here is the Chicago Northwestern stock car from the set. Really cool looking little car. The door opens as it does on the boxcar. Full disclosure, the other door on the other side is missing. No clue where it is. That was one of the few things that this set was missing, was that car is missing the door for the other side. Other than that, the paint separation on this car between the green and the yellow is not quite as crisp. You do have a little bit of bleed over of the yellow onto the green, which I'm pretty sure this car is not painted green. I'm pretty sure the yellow is the paint and the car is molded in green plastic with yellow stamping for the numbers and the lettering. This car is stamped as built by K-Line February of 1997. You have some more cast on detailing with regard to the ladder. Neither the boxcar, the gondola, or this car have the stirrup steps, which I do find a little annoying, but again, I'm not expecting this to be super high detail. As you can see, the underside of this car is identical to the underside of the boxcar, and even though I didn't show it, it's identical to the underside of the gondola as well. Here we have the roof of the car. You can see the cast on brakeman's walkway, all the rivet detailing, and the cast on grab irons, identical to the SP boxcar in this set. Looking at the B end of this freight car, just as with the SP boxcar, you see the cast on waybill board, the cast on handbrake, the little brake perch, the cast on handbrake rod linkage detailing there, and the cast on ladder on the end of the car to access the roof and the handbrake. And here on the A end of the car, you've got an identical setup to the A end of the boxcar. Cast on waybill board, a fair amount of rivet detailing, dreadnought detailing there. You can see this is actually two panels plus the roof. Cast on ladder, and you have the screw that holds the body onto the frame. If you unscrew this and lift it up, there's a little metal tab on the other end that holds it into place. kind of like the old school Lionel steam locomotive tenders. All right, here we have a pretty cool looking little Pennsylvania 2-bay hopper car. This car it has a coal load, loads and loads of rivet detailing, nicely done lettering and decaling. This is a February of 1997 car. Hatch detailing here on the sides of the bays, and the cast-on grab irons here, and again, no stirrup steps. Looking at the underside of the car, you can see undersized dump hatches here. Actually, no, that's the latch, and there's the hinges for the dump doors. So hatches here, dump doors, all cast on, of course. And very nice rivet detailing along the bottom of the car. And here's a view of the coal load inside the hopper car. You can tell that is a plastic load. We are talking late 1990s here, so I'm cutting them the slack, so can you. Overall, it's a cool effect and it's a cool little car. Here is the B end of this hopper car. You can see cast on hand irons, or grab irons rather, a little hand brake perch, way undersized, but it's there. Lots of nice rivet detailing here along the body panels and the bracing of the car. Of course, the bracing and the polling pockets here on the corners of the car, which the stock car also had, I just forgot to mention. And finally, the A end of this hopper car. Again, you got the cast-on grab irons, rivet detailing, and the brace detailing and the polling pockets here and here. And finally, here we are, the caboose. The caboose does feature interior lighting. It's supposed to. I don't know if there's a loose wire on this thing. I have checked. I don't know if the bulb is weak and is about to go out. I'm not sure. But I have not found anything amiss on this car, so I'm thinking maybe it's a broken wire inside the insulation somewhere. Can't say 100% for sure, but I know that when this thing is running around the track, it flickers on and off. I've cleaned the pickup rollers and the wheels, so it should be good to go there. But you have these separately applied curved grab-ons here. You have these yellow end steps and way oversized hand railings here on the ends of the caboose. You have very nicely done paint job and lettering. The yellow paint on the ends of the caboose is very nicely done, very evenly applied, and there is a fairly crisp separation between the yellow and the green at the corners of the caboose. The smoke stack up here is broken off. That is missing. So here we are looking at the A end of this caboose. As I said, way oversized hand railings, like way oversized. Those would be almost 6-inch thick handrails, 6 or 8-inch thick handrails in real life. So they are way overkill. The roof is one piece. This little ladder is a separately applied detail, and it's actually stamped sheet metal. You've got very nice rivet detailing there for the door frame. You have this cast on hand grab iron here on either side of the door. Overall, very nicely done model. And here we are on the B end of the caboose. Very, very Spartan. You can see the separately applied handbrake wheel right there with no handbrake associated handwear, no chains or rods or linkages or anything, just it's there sitting on the way oversized handrail. Again, you have the cast on grab irons here and there, lots of rivet detailing, and the door on the end of the caboose. Aside from this right here and the overly thick, even by O gauge standards, even by 027 standards, handrails, pretty cool little caboose. I did forget to mention this right here. In the real world, this would actually have doors on it. This is like a toolbox storage compartment that they would put say re-railers or spare knuckles or extra fusees, pretty much any oh crap equipment that they would need would go in here. So I am a little disappointed they omitted that detail with the doors there. They put it there, they just didn't finish the job 100% with the door detailing. Looking at the underside of this car, you have a very, very minimalistic, very bare bones frame. You have your pickup roller here. There, the car draws power from only one truck. So if you're running this thing over really dirty track or over switches, the lights are going to flicker. It's just the way it is, unless you go to the trouble of adding a second powered truck and a second pickup roller over here on this truck. That's just the way it is. You deal with it. And you have the emergency and service reservoirs right here. Detailing on this car is very Spartan, to say the least. Now, that being said, let's fire this bad boy up and see what it does on these 072 curves. I almost forgot this set. As I said before, aside from the stuff previously mentioned that is missing, all the track is there, all the electronic and control components were there. So if you get this or another K-line set, obviously if you get one, it's going to be second hand. So that means the instruction manual may or may not be there. While they're easy to find on the good old-fashioned interweb, I'm going to show you how the K-line track is put together, and I'm going to show you how to hook everything up to the transformer and get your trains running. Now obviously I have my own railroad with my own track set up, so I don't need to set the full loop up. As far as putting the track together, it's basically wash, rinse, and repeat. So this K-line track, as you can see, is actually not a bad looking tubular track system. And I really wish Lionel would have went with it when they took over K-line, but you know, it is what it is. So you have this little locking tab right here, this circular locking tab, and you have these little electrical contacts here out of stamped sheet metal, and there's one underneath this little plate here. Be very, very mindful of those little stamped sheet metal electrical contacts. They bend and they break easily, so just watch it with those. What you want to do is slide these together. You don't have to twist it and slide it in at an angle like MTH reel tracks, but just slide it together as you saw there on a flat surface. And the key thing is to make sure that the rail, this flat portion right here on this side and the flat portion on this side, slides underneath the rail of the adjacent track that you're connecting this to. That way everything is in line. So the next step in this process is hooking up these banana plugs. You're going to plug that in and plug that in. These plug into the whistle control box, okay? This little button here is the whistle button. So black to black, red to red. It really cannot get any more simple than that. So that is done. And you have these two wires. These two wires here on the actual transformer. This is your throttle. That click is all the way to the left and off. And you will color coordinate these little spade plugs with the wires. So the red here, you unscrew this locking lug just enough to let it down, and then screw it back down to tighten it, and you'll do the same thing here. Unscrew it and screw it down to tighten it. If you have a train that has a bell feature, you'll move this over, this selection switch from whistle horn to other, push the button, that'll activate the bell, and then move it over, push it again, that'll activate the horn. Turn the bell off, you put it back over there, push the button, bell turns off. Very simple. It takes literally 5 minutes, if even that, to get this loop of track completely hooked up and together and the electrical system cut in. Now with that said, now I'm going to be quiet and let's watch this bad boy go around the layout. So as you can see, she's a little jumpy on the throttle, but otherwise a strong pulling engine. Given the way it flew around the track with this thing with this short light cut of cars, this thing would be a heck of a strong performer pulling the heavy trains that I prefer to run. This is not staying in the collection. I am trying to find a permanent home for this guy. I believe I've tracked down a lead as far as rehoming this fella, but I figured I had it in my possession, why not do a quick product review on it. I do have a soft spot in my heart for K-line trains, even though it may not sound like it through most of this review, but I have a lot of happy memories with K-line trains. Thank y'all. Texas Special out.